Hi there everyone and welcome to APTU. Today we're going to be taking a look at creating users in AdvancePro, custom roles, and we're also going to take a look at a brand new feature, user security settings. I'm just going to switch over to AdvancePro. Now the first thing that we're going to discuss is just how to create a new user in AdvancePro. So we're going to come into the admin tab here. We're going to come to site administrators. And you're going to see a list of any pre-existing users down at the bottom. You can check off any of those users to start to edit them. Now, a couple of things. Now, all the fields in red are required, and this is also where you can come to set and reset your password. This email field, though it's not required, is going to be the default email. So whenever someone is logged in as this user and they go to send a document to a customer or a vendor, this is going to be the from email address that gets responded to when someone replies to that email. So I really recommend filling that one out. Now we're going to touch on roles as well. What a role does is that's going to allow us to decide what this user does and does not do. And we actually have a whole video available that actually goes into what the various default roles do. You do get a number of default roles to start off with. We have super admin, which can do absolutely anything in the software. Administrator, which is anything except creating and editing other users. And then we get into warehouse management, strictly shipping and receiving. Order returns management, which is more about order entry. Sales reps and restricted sales reps, where if you want to tie a user to a rep, you can. And then we get into the AP mobile users, which is actually for our AP mobile app. POS user is another pre-made user if you're using the AdvancePro POS package. And then we have role test, which is actually a custom role, and we're going to talk about creating that and editing those user rights as well. Now you can see we can also attach a sales rep profile. So if we go under reps and fill out a sales rep, we can now attach it to a user so that they're identified as being kind of one and the same. So any sales that user fills in are going to be automatically linked to that sales rep profile. One note here down at the bottom is the vendor purchase order amount limit. So if it's 0, it's infinite. But if it's anything other than 0, what it's going to do is when you go to process a vendor purchase order, this is going to give you a limit that says your user is not entitled to make a vendor purchase order, to process a vendor purchase order that is over this limit. And it'll give you the option of emailing the next person up the chain. And you can have as many levels as you want. So you could have someone who can approve any purchase order up to $500, up to $1,000, $10,000, and it'll always email the person who can approve the PO that you are working on right now. Okay. That's just a general kind of walk through this screen. Now we've recently introduced, and you may have seen this if you're a current AdvancePro user, we've introduced security settings that allow you to decide, for example, how many times someone can attempt to log in when trying to get into AdvancePro. And if they get their password wrong, say 3 times, we'll lock them out for a few minutes. Another thing is actually setting up the password security standards. We can do a number of other things. So to set those up for your company, you must be logged in as a super administrator. We'll go ahead and click the settings button here in the upper left. And I'm going to drag this in. You're actually going to get prompted for a re-entry of a super admin username and password. So I'm going to go ahead and put in mine. And we'll go ahead and click verify. Now you'll see now we get our settings. So we can lock the user out after a certain number of attempts. We can go ahead and set the requirements for the password. So if you've gotten a warning that says your password doesn't fit the requirements, this is where you can come to change the requirements. So you're in full control about what is or is not an acceptable password. So we can have it require at least one lowercase letter, at least one uppercase letter, at least one number, at least one punctuation character, or we can also set the number of characters. Now you can see there's also a check to have a super admin actually come in and re-authenticate to change the username and password of a user. So if I had attempted to make a change here, I would have gotten a little pop-up to put in my username and password as a super admin again. So we can have that enabled or disabled. And we can require the reset of passwords not meeting security policies. So that would mean if you try and log in and you get your password right, it's going to take you to reset that password as soon as possible. Yeah, those are our available security settings. You may have noticed them if you've recently upgraded to our newest version, AdvancePro 11.10. And they're turned on by default so that you know about them and so that you can go ahead and make changes to them. So now we've kind of walked through all of the fields here. If you want to add a new user, you can click the Add New button. That's going to clear everything out so you can start from scratch. And when you're complete, you can hit Add. Or if we're editing, we can check off the user that we want to work with, make our changes, and click the Update button. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Now, let's talk a little bit about these roles. These are set up here in the admin panel under the roles button. If we open that up, we're actually going to get an area where we can look at and edit our roles. It doesn't let us change the pre-made roles that you see here at the top, but if we go into role test, I've actually created this as a role, and if we want, we can actually create a new role just by filling this out and clicking add. Now, if I go into this role, you'll see we can set access options. We go ahead and open that up. This is going to let us decide what a user can and can't access. And at first, it just lets us choose from the list of available headings. So I can go and choose specific areas that this user can or can't access. Let's say customers, maybe we want them to be able to access the vendors area and the warehouse area. But we don't want them in admin. Maybe we don't want them playing with our products. We just want them in these three areas. I'm going to go ahead and save those access options. And you're going to see on the right-hand side, we'll see that E button, which throughout AdvancePro stands for Edit. And if we click that, it's going to bring up a one-to-one preview of the tab that we are setting, in this case, the Customers tab. And it actually allows us to add or remove the rights to access specific parts of that tab, of that switchboard. So here we can see we can give the rights or remove the rights to place a new customer order, or to view customers and edit customers, or to make customer groups. So this user cannot change customer group settings. We'll also see these little settings boxes on specific areas that tend to be lists of orders or records like customers or vendors or products. If we click in, that's actually going to allow us to set the default columns for the default view when you log in with a user assigned to this role. So we can decide maybe this is someone who's going to work in shipping quite a bit, and they don't need to see the billing addresses. They need to see the shipping addresses. We can go and check those off. You'll want to go ahead and enable auto-sizing the column width so that they're going to get something that's much more readable that way. And then you can go ahead and save that, and that's going to change their default view for any of these areas that have that gearbox. Yeah. So that's just kind of a quick walkthrough, making a general kind of role and how we can customize that role point by point through the software. Once we've created our role, we would of course come back into Site Administrators. We would pick our user and we would assign that role. One last note is the default warehouse area. This is actually available so that you can set someone as actually working in a warehouse. So if you're using our multi-warehouse feature, you can have orders that they place and orders that they're looking at relate specifically to the warehouse that they're working in. So that's a really handy tool. Okay, that's going to wrap up our tour of creating users in AdvancePro today. If you do have any questions, go ahead and put that into the live chat available just to the right of the video if you're watching on YouTube, or just below if you're watching on AdvanceProTech.com. We do these every Wednesday at noon Eastern Time. And if you would like to learn more about AdvancePro, we have our full archive available under AdvanceProTech.com, under the Resources tab, or on our YouTube channel. Thank you all for watching.